Good afternoon. Welcome. Welcome. Welcome to the Power of Community. We are so happy you are here. Thank you for joining with us today. My name is Amy Williams Derry. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a P&A member, a P&A volunteer, a member of the P&A Board of Directors, and a small business owner in the Binney neighborhood. We are thrilled to be with you here today. Thank you so much. Let's have a round of applause welcoming everyone. We'd like to start today's program with a land acknowledgement. In appreciation that we are in community in this space, we acknowledge that the P&A service area lies on the unceded and ancestral land of the Coast Salish peoples. We honor with gratitude the land itself, the first people who have reserved treaty rights and continue to live here since time immemorial, and their ancestral heritage. We acknowledge the loss of lives from acts of violence and systemic racism. We appreciate you all being here today to help us combat these historic harms by connecting in community and caring for one another. As I mentioned, I'm a P&A board member, and on behalf of the board, we'd like to recognize the staff and volunteers in the room. We know that staff and volunteers have been working very hard to bring this beautiful event to fruition. So on behalf of the board, I'd specifically like to call out two members of the staff, Philanthropy Director Michelle Peterson and our events manager Nicole Lagrone, who have worked tirelessly to pull this event together today. Thank you. Round of applause, please. Please continue eating while I'm speaking. I'd like to tell you a little bit about my connection to the P&A. I've been a Seattle resident since 1998. I've now lived here longer than anywhere else, so I'm almost a native. Back in 1998, my husband and I owned a water-soaked craftsman house in the Ravenna neighborhood, and that's when we first learned about the P&A. We learned about it through its tool lending library, its craftsman house workshops, and its DIY hub. That house needed a lot of work. In 2010, our family made the bold decision to move west. We crossed I-5. We moved to what I like to call Phinney Ridge North. Well, it's really Broadview, but Greenwood and Phinney Ridge are the neighborhoods that we gravitate to. We gravitate to Phinneywood because of its community feel, the thriving small businesses, and of course, the P&A. So the Phinney neighborhood is our home base, and we have adopted it as our neighborhood because it is a welcoming and inclusive community. Today's event is about past, present, and future at the P&A. So as I just mentioned, in the past, my first engagement with the P&A was as a homeowner with a newlywed's budget and a house that needed a lot of work. The P&A programs provided support for our family in that stage of life. In 2010, our family moved closer to the P&A, and we enjoyed the Phinney and Greenwood neighborhoods more frequently. In 2022, coming out of the pandemic, I became the owner of a small exercise business, Seattle Jazzercise. Seattle Jazzercise has been a local business in Seattle for over 40 years, believe it or not. It started in the early 80s at the Phinney Center. When I took the business over coming out of the pandemic in 22, clearly I needed a lot of help. Luckily, the PNA's small business advisor, Chris Maycott, was there for me. And both the Finney Center and the Greenwood Senior Center have provided a home for our now, I'm proud to say, thriving business. And just one side note, have you noticed that the Finney and Greenwood commercial districts survived the pandemic much better than many other neighborhoods in Seattle? Well, that's not random happenstance. That's hard work. Yes. The PNA had a lot to do with that. Thank you, Chris and others. Looking to the future for the PNA as a board member, community member, and small business member, I look forward to protected, enhanced, safe, and accessible buildings on our campus. As many of you know, the PNA owns 3 buildings, the GSC, the Greenwood Senior Center, the Brick Building, and the Blue Building. Quoting a dear friend who's here today, Helen, the board refers to these buildings as old, the Greenwood Senior Center, older, the Brick Building, and oldest, the Finney Center. At our oldest building, the historic Finney Center, we need a new HVAC system, we need new windows, we need repaired floors, we need to repair the lath and plaster. You name it, it's time for a repair. And at the GSC, we need a new roof. And we need these essential building improvements so we will continue to have places to gather and the opportunity and means to serve our community. So our goals for our time together today, we're going to celebrate the PNA legacy and all we have helped build together. We're going to hear from our keynote speaker, Colleen Echohawk, about why the legacy and the work we do moving forward is so important. There will also be a request of you. There will be an opportunity for you to directly support the work of the PNA. And finally, we will honor a few of the many impactful community members that have shaped the PNA through the years. As a small business owner, I was certainly drawn to the PNA because of its inclusive mission, which I'll state for you all now. The mission of the PNA is to cultivate an inclusive community. An inclusive community where every individual finds their place. Through a diverse range of programs, services, and events, the PNA aspires to forge meaningful connections, nurture a sense of belonging, support our local businesses, and make positive change. Together, we are dedicated to building a community where everyone belongs and thrives. Thank you so much for being here and being community members who take time to connect. We applaud you. Next, I'd like to introduce our Executive Director, Christy Beckley. Christy has been building community for most of her life. She spent her early days volunteering and working with family to help build a mostly volunteer-led grassroots community program with Seattle Housing Authority. Christy's early career was spent in numerous community outreach roles. She worked to create new public spaces, housing, and opportunities at the Pike Place Market. And now, Christy's been with us at the PNA for the past 4+ years. We're so grateful to her for her hard work and dedication to the PNA. Please welcome Christy Beckley to the stage.
All right. Thank you, Amy. And hi, everybody. I'm Christy. I'm Christy Beckley. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the executive director of the PNA. It's really amazing to think and reflect back about my short time at the PNA, really, because it's only a fraction of our 45-year legacy that we're celebrating today. 45 years. Wow, that's a really powerful, amazing milestone. And today's about honoring that, honoring our past, celebrating our present, and envisioning our future. These themes we've already seen a little bit throughout the year. Starting in January at our annual meeting, announced some bold goals for the year to come. Goals that included inviting more community members in through programming, and to create equitable and tongue-tied. Let me start that one over. Our bold goals and focused on engaging more of our communities through programs and activities. And in May, you celebrated our 45th birthday party at Together We Shine. Was anyone there? Yes. So our birthday party and fundraiser, at that event, we debuted our PNA Museum and started taking a trip down memory lane. And today, we celebrate the power of community by honoring our legacy members, attending to our fundraising needs, and again, planning our future. You're going to hear those things a lot today, as you probably already have, right? So when I think about our theme, past, present, and future, I'm inspired by the passion and dedication of past staff over the decades, past staff and volunteers. I love their pride and willingness, whether it was for tackling small projects or stepping up to really big challenges. It's what built this organization. So if you are a former staff member or former board member or current Legacy Maker nominee, will you just give us a wave? I know you're eating, so I won't make everyone stand up. Thank you so much for all that you do and continue to do. I'm also inspired that same spirit is alive today. I'm grateful for our current staff and board members who carry the torch daily and who are tackling the big challenges of our day. So current staff and board, will you please give us a wave? Thank you for all you do. And when I think about our future, I imagine more access, new legacies, and opportunities for fresh ideas. I also think about the work that we still have ahead, the work that we need to do together. And it makes me wonder, are we creating the right pathways for our future leaders? Are we fostering community-powered work? Are we creating equitable opportunities for our small businesses and opportunities for all of our community members to participate in our programming? We've always been a place-based organization. Amy's already talked about our buildings, and our buildings are a big part of that story. They've held countless of programs, gatherings, and celebrations over the decades. And as we look forward, our charge is to ensure that our PNA spaces continue to serve so that everyone that walks through our doors not only finds a place to gather, but a place to belong. Today is about building on the best parts of our legacy so that this community continues to thrive for the next 45 years. That means that we're learning from the wisdom, all of this wisdom in the room today with us. We're learning from the wisdom of the past and evolving. I see a lot of new volunteers and new board members and new faces in the room. We're evolving to meet the growing needs of our community. So how will we do this? Well, by creating more welcoming and accessible spaces, by providing relevant programming, especially for kids, seniors, and our vulnerable neighbors, and by fostering connections between community members, because we know that a connected community is a healthy community. This is the power of community. And this is why we've invited Colleen Echohawk to join us, because she embodies, hold on applause just a sec, but come on up. Because she embodies PNA values. I first met Colleen when we were both partnering on some new programming and community projects housed at Pike Place Market that supported the Native American community. I was later thrilled to learn about her connections to the PNA through the Greenwood Senior Center, and I'm happy to share that she is now the new CEO of Community Roots Housing. So who better to help us launch the next 45 years of legacy making than Colleen? She has spent, I know you really want to applaud for her, and I feel like I'm holding, like, she's right there, but just She spent her career inspiring communities and lifting up new leaders. Today, she'll share her mission for how we can continue to grow and lead together. Welcome, Colleen.
Well, thank you all for being here today. I'm so glad to get to spend some time with you and share some stories and lean in together to understand what it really means to live out that legacy, to be the legacy makers, and to discover what community means together. I want to start by sharing with you a song. Might be a little bit different, but this is a place of inclusivity. We hear it over and over again. This is Seattle, the PNA, the Greenwood Senior Center. This is a place where people can go and be themselves. And where I'm from, in rural Alaska, I am from a cluster of small villages. There's eight small villages. And every time we get together, we sing a song that is incredibly well known in the area. It goes like this. It goes, "Ole, Dana cross on it, hira hira ho hey." Now, it's just me here singing. But imagine a whole room full of people. Imagine the young men on their drums just sit playing with all they got. And imagine the noise of the kitchen in the background where my cousins and my aunties are making all the food, and the feeling of community and belonging that happens when you sing together. That's part of the reason I love church. It's like that singing together. We know that singing is an incredible way to bring community together. And we sing the song. Oh, I have sung the song thousands of times. On a cross on a hira hira hey. And the dancing really hits at this part because it goes, and everyone joins in this beautiful, beautiful place of community, connection, and belonging. Even if you don't know that song, when you're in that circle with everyone, you belong. And now I have been in Seattle for 30 plus years, and I can tell you 20-ish years ago, I was part of a small church that started renting out the Greenwood Senior Center. And we wanted to make sure that we weren't just renters, but that we could become part of the work that was happening there and support the work. And I can remember one day I was volunteering during the lunch hour. And if anyone ever been to the lunch hour at the Greenwood Senior Center? Okay, you know what I mean. You know that earlier vision of the singing and the food. You feel that when you're at that lunch at Greenwood Senior Center. And so I went in the back and I started working with this incredible human. Some of you probably know her, Sammy. And she started making magic happen. There was food that had been donated. There was food that had been bought. And it just started just multiplying in front of my eyes. And we worked together over the years. And one day I realized she was 81 years old. I mean, what talk about the legacy. Like she had more energy than I did, and I was like 35 or something. Like, she was just stunning. And when I think about the power of community, it is people like Fanny who make them happen. It's people like my cousin Anita back in the kitchen in the village, who is, making the pasta salad and arguing with somebody about whether they should add olives to it or not. And then someone comes, this literally just happened this summer. I was working in the kitchen and during a potluck in the village, someone walks in and says, "I brought beaver." And we're like, "What?" "Sure." And literally that's one of our traditional foods. They roasted it up, dropped them off. We're like, who knows how to cut up beaver? And it was not me. I did. But that's the kind of magic that those people in the kitchen do. And they say, wow, I've never cooked this kind of food before, but I believe that everyone out there in that dining hall deserves to have a really great meal. And I learned that for Fanny. We also would do this work where we would decorate for the holidays for the Greenwood Senior Center. And I can remember a time that we went down into the basement and we did our looking at all of the decorations that were there. We said, man, some of these they need to be thrown out. And and we bought a bunch of new ones. We sadly went into a place where we should not have gone because there were people who felt very attached to some of those older decorations.
And we really offended some people. And I will tell you that the power of community also means that we have to have leadership. And Cecily, who was the leader of the Dream Senior Center, I saw an example of leadership that I had never really seen before. She was able to talk with us and let us know how that had hurt the community. And we said, oh, we want to make it right. And she said, okay, well, this is how we're going to make it right. And, when we're building community and when we're building that trust, sometimes we make mistakes. And we know that if we don't respond in the right way, if we don't talk about it, if we don't have leadership like Cecily, then we're not gonna change. We're not gonna grow. We're not gonna become the legacy makers that we want to be. And around that same time where I was just getting to learn about leadership from Danny and from other people and Cecily and other folks in the Greenwood Senior Center, I became an executive director of a nonprofit. I was executive director of Cheese Seattle Club, and I walked into the back of the kitchen and I saw, wow, these are similar foods to what Fanny was doing, and she was getting some of these same foods, and I sort of had the honor of growing the programs, and one day I realized, and it's a much longer story, but I realized, wow, our current housing systems are failing my community. And it was really clear in the data, and I was just, what can we do? Where should we go? And I started to think about it and make the inquiries and start talking to people. And, I went to the Office of Housing in the City of Seattle and literally had people just laugh in my face and say, no, you don't got it. Your organization's too small. You don't know anything about housing. And then I had some friends who say, no, Holly. I had this one friend, he said, Colleen, he had built a lot of housing in the city. He said, Holly, housing is not rocket science. I held on to that phrase. I was like, okay, it's not rocket science. I can do it. And I talked to other people in the community. I mean, that's where Christy and I met way back in the day. We were talking about housing and trying to understand how we can fill the gaps. Sometimes in our roles as leaders, sometimes in our roles as community builders, as volunteers, there's times to have courage. There's times to ask those questions, to do the right kind of risk assessment. But then when we see the need, when we see and we know and we understand that there is something here that has to happen, then we take that plunge. And so I took it, and I had so many people along the way who just supporting me. Who said, yes, we believe that Native people in this city deserve to have housing that is culturally relevant, that meets their particular needs. And let me tell you, and we know this, you guys are an amazing crowd. You know that Native people in the city, we have the highest rates of homelessness out of any other population. And when we are in places where, and I love this, I'll say, well, we do the land acknowledgements and understand, well, what are the ways that we are going to make the change and make room for new kinds of leadership and new ways of understanding housing and new ways of understanding how we need mental health needs. Those are what is happening in Seattle. I think that when we look around the world right now, we look around our country, there's a lot of things that are happening that are hard. And that's okay. There are people in this room, there are people in this city where we know how to adapt and we know how to flex. We know how to understand that we may not be practicing DEI in the ways we used to, but we still understand real and historical truth. We truly do understand that. And we as a city and as a community, we take that on with understanding, with grace for each other, with good food, like what you're eating right now. And we make those kind of changes. And that's been my experience in leadership here in the city. I'm so happy to say, even though I don't run Cheese Seattle Club anymore, but one of my best friends in the world, Derek Belgard, is the executive director now. They have over 500 units now of housing for Native people. Truly one of the biggest honors of my life to get to be a part of that. And now I'm the CEO at Community Roots Housing.
I'm taking everything that I learned in that space, serving my native relatives. Taking what I learned serving at Greenwood Senior Center, and moving it into this new space to consider how we continue to adapt in this new environment that we're in to build affordable housing to truly make this city a place that everyone can live and enjoy. As I think about that task, I think about a moment I had many years ago in New Zealand. I was there with my sister and my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law is Maori, so Indigenous to New Zealand. I always joke around with my sister that they're like the Indigenous super family. They like live in Hawaii and they're like super gorgeous and tan and they just like are striding around the beaches together. But I'm not that person. But we're in New Zealand and having this really wonderful like cross-cultural exchange, and we're in the marae, the traditional longhouse, and we go and visit this school, and in this school were all these little brown Maori kids, and they're just the cutest damn kids you've ever seen, and they have to wear a uniform over there, which I don't know, a bunch of kids in uniforms are really cute too. They probably don't like it, but I loved it. And they started singing this song, and the song goes something like this. It says, it translates to, and I'll sing a little portion of it. It says, I will never be lost. I am a seed, born of greatness, descended from a line of chiefs. That is who I am. These beautiful little brown kids singing this song, and I just started crying. Like, what is happening? Because what I knew, and they sang it in their traditional language, which I will not do because my brother-in-law laughs at me when I do, but they sang it in their traditional language. What I knew is that in the late 1970s, that the Maori language was mostly gone. There was only about 30 people who could actually speak the language stuff. And so the Maori community came together and they said, we have to solve this. And one thing it stuck in my head, they said, we have to understand that the government isn't going to do it for us. It's going to be us. It's going to be Maori for Maori. I heard elders out there saying it's going to be Maori for Maori. We have to work to solve this crisis. And so they began these immersion preschools that focused on these little kids, and they started like just immersing the language speakers, the elders. They worked in the school and they immerse these young little preschoolers in the language. And now, today, when you go to New Zealand, you can turn on the radio station, you can turn on the TV station, you hear Maori language. You can go all the way to a PhD in Maori at the universities there. And it's truly something that no one thought could really happen. And so when that moment, I'm looking at these little kids, and they're singing their hearts out, and I'm hearing a little conversation that says, I could never be lost. I could never be lost. I'm a seed born of greatness. And I want to invite you in this moment to think about that for yourself. It's not just these Maori kids who are special. It's you. You are special. You are a seed born of greatness. You have so much to offer your community. You being here in this moment, this really special moment, thinking about the past, the present, the future of this incredible organization. You being here is so significant. You are part of what we are doing in this city together to showcase and to help people understand real historical truths, things that really happen to people like my community, that really happen to you. And we can make changes that directly address the historical wrongs. That's what belonging really is about. Is everyone in this room knowing and understanding that you are a seed born of greatness? And let me tell you, the great grandparents of these kids I was looking at, they didn't know, they couldn't imagine that their language would really come back. And it came back like so beautifully, so wonderfully. And those kinds of stories are the things that like helped me when I was like feeling down, when I did not feel like I was that seed born of greatness. I thought I was like just some young executive director who didn't know what to do. But I had a passion in my heart, and I had vision for what could be. And that's the beauty of community. That is the legacy that has been built in the PNA. And I am so glad that I get to be a part of it with you. Remember, if you don't remember anything else today, you're a great seed. You have so much to give. You're being who you are authentically, singing a silly song on stage when no one else sings songs. But being yourself is so important. It's so good. What you have is so good. So I look forward to many more years of the Greenwood Senior Center and the PNA and all of the wonderful work that comes out of it. Thank you so much for having me today. It's been so much fun. And I am so honored to be a part of this family up at the PMA. So thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Colleen. It's a song. I can't tell now.
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Yes. I got the thumbs up from Imelda. I didn't know we were going to get singing too. So that was really fun. And such inspiring stories. We are seeds born of greatness. It really just, it speaks to the fact or reminds me about the PNA and how we're people powered too. And the stories that we're hearing today are all about individuals like Colleen, like Fanny, like Cecily, like many of you in the room that have made big impacts already. And it's, knowing that we can't do it alone. We're doing it in harmony with our community. It's such a, just love the visualization. I can feel the singing in my heart. And so people, we're going to pause on people, but we've also been talking a lot about our buildings. And, a lot of people when they think about the PNA, they think about our buildings. We talked about them a lot, right? The Greenwood Senior Center and the Finney Center with our blue and brick building. But it's never been just about the buildings. It really is about what happens inside them. And what happens inside them, that's where the legacies are made. Inside our buildings, we're building community, we're changing lives, and we're making dreams come true. But gosh, just saying that's such a big responsibility. It's true, but it's a lot of responsibility that we all hold. And I'm honored that the PNA gets to do that work. But we need your help to keep doing it. Because we know we don't do it alone. Look at all of you here. And the buildings are both our legacy and our responsibility, really. Our buildings, important and beloved as they are, they do take significant investment, again, as we've heard a little bit already today, to keep them safe, accessible, and ready to meet the needs of today's community. So we're looking ahead, and it's getting exciting. We're continuing to look for ways to stay relevant and meet the needs of our changing community, thinking about what does the future of the PNA hold, and wondering if our spaces will work for us in the way that we need them to. That is a big responsibility to have as an organization, but that big responsibility comes with big opportunities. We do own 2 campuses and those buildings on them. We've already talked about that. And it's helped us do all the things, the amazing things that we've been talking about over the decades, the gatherings and the connections and the cultivating and all the people coming together to enjoy them. And as Colleen spoke about, there's a joy of rising to that responsibility that comes with the need. So here we go. In keeping with our theme today, I'm going to get back to the future. I'm going to go backwards this time, future, present, and then we're going to wrap up our program with celebrating the past. So I have 2 calls to action for you all today. And the first is around a big, an announcement. I'm going to say something out loud that we haven't said out loud before. But it's that we have an incredible opportunity to share with you today. And it's that we're moving forward with longtime plans to redevelop the Greenwood Senior Center. I said it out loud. I know. And we still have a lot of planning to do. So I don't know exactly what this looks like yet. We don't know. But what we do know is this. We're exploring opportunities. We're looking, towards the next steps of what redevelopment could look like. It means we're actively seeking partnerships to do that. With that, we have the potential to expand our service offerings and include housing. And with that, yay, thank you. I know. With that, we're looking for like-minded partners, organizations to partner with that would build and operate said housing. But we also know this. We will always serve seniors and their families through the types of programs that we currently offer at the Greenwood Senior Center. So we have the potential to not only keep serving the community for the next 45 years, but imagine a new Greenwood facility that can serve more seniors, support additional programming, create affordable housing, and more. So I'm glad to hear you're all excited, because really the goal for telling you all this today and bringing Colleen to inspire us was just that, to get you excited about what's to come. We want you to be on the lookout for ways to get involved and start thinking about what you want your impact to be in this endeavor. So just to be clear, we're not asking for support in this project yet today, but there will be ways for you to get involved in the future. Today, I'm inviting you all to look in your programs. So if you haven't already, you have some beautiful programs on your table. And before you leave, take some time to share your hopes and dreams with us and help us build this future. Okay, so back to the present. That was our future moment, call to action number 1. Back to the present. Today is all about strengthening our foundation. So as we look ahead, we're also looking at the now, because we can't get to the future unless we, do some stuff now. And we need your support today to do that. So your support keeps the PNA thriving and sustains all the work that we do together to keep our community healthy. So on the screen, you'll see some examples. This is getting into the second call to action that I have. You'll see some examples of what your gift today could make possible or helps us do. And this is really only a fraction of the impact we have. The true reach of the PNA is almost immeasurable through all of our large regional community events, through all of the messaging on our social channels and through our websites, through the review, newspaper, and more. This is an example of what you're helping us support. And, maybe I know many of you put your dots on the timeline, so thanks for doing that, and make sure you do that before you go. And maybe you came in through a preschool co-op, or maybe your first experience at the PNA was meeting neighbors at a beer taste, or maybe at a village gathering. Maybe you learned something today that you're excited about and you want to contribute to the whole breadth of what PNA has to offer, our program offering and services. Whatever your motivation was, whatever inspires you, however you're connected to the PNA, you also probably came here today with a number in mind. This is a fundraising luncheon, and hopefully you knew that as well. And I invite you to stretch that a little bit farther. I don't want to dwell on this fact, but with all that's going on in the rest of the country, in parts of the country and our world, now's the time to really double down on community building, I think. So, whatever you can add on to your gift, we at $5, $50, $100 more, it all helps us multiply the impact that we're having together. So, I already had you pull out the program. So take a minute now and find the envelopes that are inside. And there are a few ways, probably more, but there's a few ways you can donate today. You can fill out the envelope with your credit card information, or leaving a check. You can scan the QR code and make a donation online. Table Champions can help with this, and Table Champions will collect all the envelopes, and staff will pick them up immediately after our program ends. You can also help us after. So it's not just about their donations made today, although they're very important and we appreciate them. But please help us by sharing the stories. Did you see an inspiring story on our nomination wall today? Share those stories, because the celebration and fundraising continues online after this event today. I think we're recording too, so you can watch it again and share with your friends that weren't able to be here. Our goal is to raise $100,000 to support, again, PNA programming and keep our community thriving. But please know, whatever you give, you are helping the PNA be the heart and continue to be the heart of this community. So I just want to thank you all for all the support, and thank you for being part of this community and our shared legacy. Now, as you fill out your donation envelopes, I'm going to introduce our last speaker of the program. PNA Board President Kevin Kane will be joining me on stage to present our awardee for the inaugural PNA Legacy Maker Award. He's a longtime PNA member and volunteer He's founding member of the Community Woodshop. He's a husband. He's a father. He's a friend to many, many in this room, and my trusted and valued advisor. Please join me in welcoming Kevin to the stage.
Well, thank you everyone for being here. I think it's hard to talk about legacy without first acknowledging all of the people who opened doors and paved the road we're walking down. And most of you, many of you are in this room. So for a person who's gotten involved more recently, thank you very much for making the PNA and sustaining it. So I don't know if you know the singer-songwriter Iris DeMent, but there's a song that I really like. And the lyrics start, I get up in the morning knowing I'm privileged just to be working on a world I may never see. And it's a lyric I really like, and it recalls that idea about planting a tree under whose shade you may never sit, and it requires optimism and long-range thinking, and that's really what we're talking about in this future context. But then I have 2 cups of coffee, and I think, wait a minute, we actually do get to see and enjoy the things we're working on. So being in the room with everyone here, working in the wood shop, participating on the board, that's enjoying the work, right? So planting trees, except for the digging, not too bad. We can all take turns watering and nurturing the tree. And I think that's kind of how I've been starting to think about this. Our connection with the PNA started kind of as it does with many people, enjoying the programs, attending folk life performances, borrowing tools from the tool library, listening to Roger Farris explain why I should bolt my house down to the foundation. And our PNA membership, maybe like some of you, we would renew and it would lapse, and then we would eventually renew again. And I've gotten better about renewing in a more timely way. So that's my job for Amanda tonight, is to kind of remind her today that we all need to do a little better there. So back in 2012, I had a chance to work on the brick building accessibility improvements, including the elevator, and working on the site committee with Judith Wood, who's here, and Bill Fenimore, who was facilities director, and Lee Harper. I got to kind of understand how the PNA worked, what the PNA values were, and it was super inspiring. And from that, subsequently, I was kind of invited to join a group of people starting the wood shop. And as Christy knows, that's really where I'm a lot more comfortable, like in front of or behind the table saw. But I kind of understand the importance of having a place. This isn't just an advertisement or commercial for buildings, but as an architect, I have to say I'm pretty convinced that having a building is a much nicer way to be able to assemble and gather. And the PNA is really all about face-to-face people, human interaction. So it's great that we can FaceTime and have our phones and our virtual communities, but this is distinctly what the PNA does. And we've already heard that we have older and oldest buildings. It's our mantra on the site committee. And so we want to maintain the buildings, and we're a place-based organization because we are lucky enough to have a place, thanks to the hard work that came before. And obviously, you've heard we need to kind of maintain those things. So currently working on the board, I've had a chance to work with really bright, capable, and mostly younger board members. And so that's been really inspiring. Looking ahead, I'm pretty excited about the opportunity to redevelop the Greenwood Senior Center, if that comes to pass. There's an opportunity perhaps to have significant amount of housing. The Senior Center has been working well and for the last 30 years, but the population of Seattle has increased. We have an opportunity to kind of think about what the Senior Center of the future might look like. I mean, what's the Senior Center that you want to participate and attend? And I can say that Jake, my partner, is in a musical group that plays at senior centers and the Hearthstone. And so, of course, they work on a repertoire of popular songs that people will know. And so those include your traditional "Oh Susanna" bicycle built for tube. But when asked for a request, people said, "Hey, do you know any Led Zeppelin? Towered Power?" I have a feeling that the Senior Center of the future, this is probably going to be more familiar to people in this room, and I think I'm looking forward to that. So you've already been invited, and I really appreciate being invited to join the woodshop group and to join the board. But, you're invited to share your time, talents, and treasures with the PNA. And I know this is just one of the events, but there's ways to volunteer in other capacities, and I've found it to be one of the most enjoyable parts of my PNA involvement. So now the award, and I'll read this so I don't, omit anything important. So today we're celebrating 45 years of community connection and impact. We're introducing a new tradition. It's the PNA Community Legacy Maker Award. So if you know the heart of Finney Park, that little park at the base of the former air raid siren, there's a bench out there, and on the bench you can see chiseled an inscribed quote from the Irish poet George Bernard Shaw, which reads, "I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the community, and as long as I live, it's my privilege to do for it whatever I can." That's kind of the ethos of the PNA, I would say. And as you saw in the gallery when you entered the space today, many community members were nominated for this inaugural award, and many of you are here, and I've been pleased to get to meet several of you. So anyway, all of you rose to this challenge and took on the responsibility of developing a healthy, connected community. Still, there is one neighbor whose impact came through in this situation and every story captured, and it's clear to all who know this individual that their work and service represent the heart of this community. So as we recognize this legacy maker today, I want to share the rest of the quote from George Bernard Shaw, which I've edited, so it's not really the rest of the quote. "The harder I work, the more I live. Life is a sort of splendid torch, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to the future generations." So I'm thinking about this handing off the torch, and as Christy mentioned, are we creating pathways for new leaders? And so what I would think as a senior PNA volunteer, that the torch is passed on to the next generation who will essentially light the way, but all of us senior volunteers have the resources and the time to kind of follow and support that work. And I think that's a kind of a, not being uninvolved, but maybe gracefully stepping to the side and letting other people kind of take the lead and innovate. So today, the PNA Board of Directors, staff, and alumni want to honor and recognize the PNA's founding executive director, our inspiring friend, neighbor with the PNA Community Legacy Maker Award for his enduring impact in Seattle. And as you know, that would be Ed Medeiros. So most of you know Ed better than I do. A few highlights of his PNA legacy include founding member of the PNA. Ed took the opportunity to help create the community he wanted to be part of. He's an example of finding both the joy and the responsibility. Whoa. What we costed? That's a classic PNA moment right there. Oh, it's so pretty. Anyway, we could list all these awards: preschool co-ops, DIY hub, of which the Wood Shop is part, community events like Winter Festival, other programs for seniors. Seems a little self-serving now, doesn't it, Eric? So I was planning for a picture. Actually, all of this is self-serving. So I'll just say a few things about this award because I think it reflects PNA values. So first of all, locally sourced. The glass represents the blue building and the brick building down below. The wood was recycled. That's PNA for you. Bill Fenimore salvaged the floorboards that came out of the elevator project. By 2012, anticipating this moment.
I doubt it.
You never know. We save stuff. You go up in the attic in the brick building, and there's a lot more where this came from. And most importantly, it comes from the heart.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, good turn, right? So now I get to say thank you. It's really nice to be recognized after being retired for 15 years and still being remembered. I really appreciate that very much. I'm honored to be among such great company, and the PNA itself, I think, is a legacy. I feel like it's our legacy, those of us who've worked on it, and I'm really proud of what we built together. And I have to hold it together because I told my sons that I was coming here and that I might be recognized for something, and they said, "Don't cry." So, but I happen to be 81, like somebody referred to that 81-year-old person in the kitchen. I was like, oh, that's me. So anyway, I know it's a cliche, but it does take a village. And I want to say thank you for everyone who's made it happen. All the hard work, the hundreds of board members, committee members, thousands of volunteers, and those of you who continue to carry the torch forward. Thank you very much.
We miss your slideshows.
Wow. Amazing. A lot happened up here on this 4x6 stage today. I'm in awe. Congratulations, Ed. So, we are seeds born of greatness. Add a 0 to the number you wrote down on your envelope, okay? That will show how great you are. $100,000 is our goal today. Please help us get there. We really, really appreciate you being a part of this ongoing legacy. 45 years and 45 more to come. I'm really touched by the energy in this room. What an exciting opportunity to be together and think about how far we've come and how much further we can go together. So please fill out your donation envelope, give it to the designated person at your table, and give yourself a final round of applause for being a part of this amazing community. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being here with us today, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Yes, question.
Oh, Anna, to be 81 again. Some of you know me, some of you do not. But I have to acknowledge, Judith Woods, where are you? Oh, there's that lovely girl. She grabbed my heart and my wife's heart a few months ago when I received this in the mail. It wasn't what was in the package, but it was the note that she wrote us. My wife and I are the past owners of Greenwood Hardware. And believe it or not, I've been gone 25 years from that store. So now I am a senior, and I have moved to the Marabella, which is down on Deerview and Denny. And the one thing that has been mentioned here so much today is legacy. And I've said I moved out of the Finney neighborhood, but I've moved into a super progressive community. And the first thing that caught our attention was, wow, there are homeless kids around our neighborhood. So immediately, Robin and I jumped in to be first into youth care. So thank you, Judith. So the legacy, I've got a couple years left, so don't before that legacy comes through the way. So now I have split between youth care downtown for kids and this wonderful community. But I digress. Judith wrote me a little note and sent this little packet along, and I just thought it was so appropriate. I was already talking about yours. Judith, you grabbed, it's got the, that's not what really grabbed me. Your note was, she didn't forget us. She remembered us, and we're part of the community. And even though I'm living down in another wonderful community now, you are all and always in my heart. And I do stop by the store now and again. So, Ed, congratulations on your award. So many years ago, we sat together. Ed was one of the first people I knew in the community in 1979. And we wrestled and fought for everything. And then we became friends. And then we became friends. But I think our will ever. Oh, anyway, thank you very much. I thought it was very good.
Thanks, Yvonne. That was great. And race time, Judith. So, hey, if you had stories, we have opportunities for you to share stories. So, as we close our program, there's a phone in the bank, and if you haven't had a chance to pick up that old rotary phone and tell your story, we'd love to hear it. There's also some more opportunities to do a video version. So, if you have a story to tell like Gronk, please share it. Thanks, everybody.